Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday. Normally, it's at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, but I'm going live early today because my son has an award ceremony at school at 8:30, and my child will always take precedent over anything that I do. But yeah, so, obviously what we do on this show is we break down some industry headlines, and then we provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. At the end of the day, I just want to add value out there for people and learn from the individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Tuesday, everybody out there. The 2nd of April. Now all the terrible April Fool's jokes can go to the wayside for 365 more days. And yeah, brand new episode of the podcast also dropped this morning. Identity, carrier identity, identity theft, freight theft, all of that stuff is rampant right now. And I had Chief Ranieri with a company called Trusted on my show. And, we had a really good conversation, right? Because there's so much out there that, drivers are required to jump through to haul freight and everything. And there's some great technology that is out there to kind of help them protect themselves, really, at the end of the day. I think that's what it kind of boils down to, because, there's a way for you to kind of save your driver profile that comes along with you. And then you also got to look at it as, this gives you an opportunity to start hauling more high value freight as there's more of an adoption to that out there in the market, and, because biometric data, and I think some of the information that is going to be required to haul high value cargo and stuff like that is, it's going to constantly change. And I think that there's a way to kind of get ahead of it, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to think of ways that you can get out there and grow your business and increase your revenues and everything else. So it was a good episode. I think that it's a good conversation that is always needed out there about what businesses can do to protect their identity, to make sure that their stuff is taken care of. And then, with freight theft being what it is out there, it's a great way for companies to track who is actually picking up their freight. And so they have a record of all of that stuff out there. So that's available right now on iTunes and Spotify. But yeah, Micah, it's good morning to you as well. Yeah, I just can't go this early, live this early, every single day. And I've just kind of found that the 8:30 Pacific, time is the best one that is for us to go live at. And then let me see here. Let me see. All right, sorry about that. Give me just one moment here. Yeah, but we're going to break down some articles here. We're going to kind of jump right in. This one caught my eye yesterday, and this one is from TT News. And again, you guys, all the links to the articles that are broken down are uploaded onto the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay, which is going to be up on iTunes and Spotify almost immediately after the show. And this one caught my eye yesterday because I'm an LLC. And this one comes from ttnews.com. Trucking LLCs must file new federal report under law. Failing to file could result in fines or imprisonment. And this one caught my eye because I literally just talked with my CPA yesterday because my taxes just got done for the year and everything. And that's always like my biggest thing with being in business for myself is just making sure everything is in line with Uncle Sam, because they really don't care. And I don't want to be put out of business because of an error that is out there. But this article goes on to say small trucking company owners may find themselves among the millions of LLC proprietors across the nation facing hefty fines and prison time if they fail to report information now required by an obscure new U.S. Treasury Department law that took effect January 1st to thwart money laundering, tax fraud, and financial crimes. The new paperwork, called Beneficial Ownership Information Reports for LLCs, is now required by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, a bureau under the Treasury Department focused on safeguarding the nation's financial system from illegal activities and collecting, analyzing, and providing regulations with financial information to the agency. Um, how about this? How about we start doing this with all of our politicians first? Because I'm sure that they are great with managing our money out there, right? Maybe we should start there before we go after and attack fucking LLC business owners. I haven't even read the rest of the article, but just that right there drives me nuts. They're looking to safeguard the financial system from illegal activities, collecting, analyzing, and providing regulators with financial information to the. Start in Washington, D.C. If you want to fix all of the financial crimes in this country, start with our elected officials, all right? Start with all of them, and all of this shit will get cleaned up fucking immediately. Anyways, back to the article here. And then the U.S. Small Business Administration notes 33 million business owners are in the United States, many of which are LLCs, and among those are trucking companies. LLC owners who do business in the United States now must report information about the people who ultimately own or control them, as mandated by the Corporate Transparency Act, enacted in 2021. The new reports are for LLCs, beneficial owner, someone who owns or controls at least 25% of the company, and a company applicant. The person who directly files is mainly responsible for filing the document out there. Failing to complete this report, neglecting to provide updated information, or giving false information can lead to civil or criminal penalties, such as fines up to $500 a day, or crime penalties up to 2 years imprisonment and or a fine of $10,000. Two deadlines apply when LLCs were formed. Existing companies created or registered before January 1st to do business in the United States must file by January 1st of 2025. Newly created or registered companies created or registered to do business in the United States in 2024 have 90 calendar days to file on the date after receiving actual or public notice that the LLC's creation or registration took effect. Also, LLCs created on or after January 1st must submit information to the report about the company, about the people who form the company as company applicants. And then it goes on to say, is my company required? And there's a little graph that is out there. Emphasizing that filing the required information is simple, secure, and free of charge. The FinCEN noted that reporting on beneficial ownership information is not an annual requirement, and it only needs to be submitted once. According to FinCEN, LLCs generally must provide 4 pieces of information: name, date of birth, address, and then identification number. So your federal, your U.S. passport, driver's license number. If none of those documents exist, an unexpired foreign passport can be used. In addition, LLC information is required, such as the name and address, to help. And then to help LLCs understand this, FinCEN has provided online resources, a special website, fincen.gov/BOI. That is F as in Frank, I as in Isaac, N as in Nancy, C as in Charlie, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, .gov /B as in boy, O as in Oscar, I as in Isaac. I would highly recommend all of you who are LLC owners that are listening to this show, go to that website and take care of that. All right. I was talking to my CPA about this early on in tax season, and he said, yes, this is very, very real, and they will 100% come after you if you do not take care of that. So if you don't have a CPA, I don't know if my CPA can help you on this, but he was on my podcast here. And I just think that, this is one of those things, you guys got to get ahead of this. Do not wait until the last minute and get this taken care of. Okay. Because if you don't get this taken care of, you guys, they will find you, right? Like, I think it is very evident that they will only come after, small businesses, essentially. And because it's ridiculous. No matter what, it is 100% ridiculous out there to implement something like this, right? But because like the basis behind it about the financial crimes, like, let's be honest. My business does not even like I mean, they mismanage more money to Ukraine than I've grossed in revenue in my business. So at the end of the day, I'm not the one that they should be looking after. They should be 100% auditing the Treasury Department themselves and every other 3-letter agency that is out there that is mismanaging all of our funds instead of going after small businesses. But that aside, you guys, we will just go to this fincen.gov/BOI and take care of this, you guys. It doesn't look like it's going to take that long of a time. I already checked with my CPA. He says this is very real. You need to do this. So my personal opinion aside, just don't wait. Go do it. Take care of it. And then since it is tax season right now, and just take care of it now during your taxes. Don't wait. ttnews.com on this one, you guys. Trucking LLCs must file new federal report under law, which, yeah, I don't need to go on any further about what they should be focusing on because it's not small business owners, for fuck's sakes. Anyways, you guys, next article. This one, it came out, I think, this weekend about this. Bob Hasrati, what is up, man? Good to be back. He says it's been a while. And yeah, man, it's at some point, right? Next article is from freightwaves.com. And this is Pride Group's bankruptcy filing underscores impact of downturn. Pride Group, one of Canada's largest trucking and leasing companies, filed bankruptcy protection last week amid a capacity glut in low rates. President and CEO Sam Jahal is warning that an unorganized demise of the company threatens the livelihoods of many thousands of families. The company was founded by Jahal and his brother Jasveer, who's vice president in 2010. It operates 50 owned and leased locations across Canada and the U.S., controlling a fleet of 20,000 tractor trailers that are owned, leased, and contracted for service. It offers domestic and cross-border transportation in Canada and the U.S. and has dealerships in both countries. The Mississauga, Ontario-based company was profitable until the pandemic, according to Sam. Following the downturn across the trucking industry, the family-owned company was unable to pay its debts. Increased spot freight prices and low diesel prices and interest rates during the pandemic led to an increase in trucking and logistics supply. The company said in its bankruptcy filing in Ontario that ultimately resulted in an oversupply of trucking and logistics services, which resulted in declining spot freight rates. The simultaneous reduction in pricing and increase in cost negatively impacted the Pride Group's revenue while also decreasing the demand for truck sales. The foregoing headwinds combined to put tremendous pressure on Pride Group's business. By December of 2023, many lenders either cut off availability under their facilities or the facilities maxed out, which hindered their ability to fund new inventory and lease sales. As a result, Pride Group had nominal cash sales and no new lease sales in January of 2024, without the ability to provide leasing options to customers because of the frozen leasing financing act facilities. Sales have fallen substantially and liquidity has been affected. More than 20 lenders have claims totaling more than $637 million in debt from Pride Group, including Mitsubishi Capital, Daimler Truck of Canada, Daimler US, and Packer Financial, and Volvo Financial of Canada. The Pride Group directly employs 670 people. 370 in Canada, 200 in India, and 100 in the United States. It also filed Thursday for the creditors protection under the company's creditor arrangement act in Canada, which gives the company to stay of proceedings for at least 10 days. The bankruptcy protection filing came after Mitsubishi Capital filed lawsuits for about $100 million in loans out there. Sam Jahal said the company is unable to reorganize its forces to cease operations and the closure of the business. The fallout of unorganized demise, like this, as a business owner myself, without knowing the inner workings of this company's, finances and everything else. This is one of my biggest fears in business is you take on debt and you go to invest in your company and to grow your company and then it doesn't work out, right? And then you're in a really tough situation out there. And I guarantee nobody went into business here in hoping that they were going to be what was the total amount of debt here? 200 203. I mean, a fuckload of hundreds of millions of dollars, put it this way, hundreds of millions of dollars in debt after, because again, like financing your equipment, financing the buildings, growing and scaling your business, taking on equity or a capital partner and stuff like that to do it. Like these are the unfortunate repercussions of the realities of business. So while a lot of people out there are, talking about how they're stacking cheddar and you need all of this shit to be successful in business, like these are the real ramifications of what happens out there. And this is what happens if you bet on yourself and it doesn't work out, right? And it's one of my biggest fears because, like, taking on debt, like I want to bootstrap everything as much as I possibly can. And my stance has kind of changed on things here recently because when I first started, if you would have just given me $10 million when I first started, I would have blown that in stupid ways. And, at this point in coming up on 4 years of being self-employed, I can more confidently say I would probably allocate those funds better. But like at the end of the day, like that's the risk of raising capital and taking on debt is someone can call your note at any time. And if you don't have the capital to repay that, you're done. Right. And unfortunately, it looks like that's what happened in this situation. And yeah, it's there's a lot of people out there that are heavily, heavily leveraged. And if by one market change out there can literally bankrupt companies, and that's just how fragile a lot of this stuff is. And it's another one of those reasons why I want to stay as privately funded as possible, as long as I possibly can in business, so I don't have to necessarily deal with that, right? And so I don't know. There's a lot of different factors that are out here, but it just sucks to see people go out of business, especially one that was doing that, and they owe $600 million. So that article was from freightwaves.com. The next article is also from Freightwaves, and this one is about nuclear verdicts. And this is another topic that just never is ever going to go away. Missouri court upholds nuclear verdict and blasts carrier's safety policy. Great Plains Trucking faces $20 million verdict in fatal accident. A Missouri appellate court upheld a $20 million verdict against Great Plains Trucking in a decision with the judge took the company to task for its safety practices, but the ruling drew a partial dissent from one judge over the exclusion of evidence about the marijuana habit of the motorist whose son was killed in 2019 when an 18-wheeler from Great Plains Trucking, who is based in Salina, Kansas. I know there's a bunch of Great Plains Truckings that are out there, but this one is the one based in Salina, Kansas, who struck a car on I-70. Robert Schultz was the 19-year-old son of Carrie Schultz, who was driving the car on August 6th. They were headed to McDonald's in Lake St. Louis, Missouri, where they worked beginning in the 6 a.m. shift. Truck driver Lennis Beck was eastbound at on I-70 at 5:30 a.m. in rainy weather. And according to the appellate court, Beck did not lessen his speed or remove the cruise control set at 70 miles an hour as he drove through the rain from Kansas City. When Beck arrived in Warrenton, the rain continued, the road was wet, and the windshield wipers were still necessary. Schultz's car fishtailed to avoid another car, took a light hit from a pickup truck, hit a retaining wall, and ended up stopped on the highway. It was there that Beck's truck struck the vehicle. The jury out there ruled against Great Plains in 2022, almost 3 years after the crash, and the award was $10 million in compensatory. God, why can't I pronounce that? Compensatory damages. Jeez, against Great Plains and Beck, and $10 million in aggravated circumstances damages out there. The award. And then also, because we don't need to go into any further details with that portion of the article, but court says carriers' practices continued even after the accidents. And there is evidence showing Great Plains itself engaged in conduct before and after the fatal accident, which shows intentional wrongdoing. Among the criticisms at Great Plains, which echoed the findings of the lower court, safety requirements of the company's CDL manual gave drivers discretion on how closely to follow them, and the company had an unwritten policy that allowed drivers to go 4 to 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. And then a reasonable juror could have found that this policy actively directed and encouraged professional truck drivers to violate CDL manual requirements. A juror could have also inferred Great Plains policy that it placed its ability to prioritize profits and with speed above the safety of the public. Yeah, this is, I had Brendan Dawson on my show a while ago, and he's with Accident Plan. And we were talking about this, right? Because like this is exactly what happens when there's an accident out there. All of your safety policies, all of your records are subpoenaed instantly in this, right? And you can't say I didn't know in these situations, right? Like you didn't know that you needed to have that, or you didn't know you couldn't say that. Like this is the importance of when you're out there and you're creating any policies or anything like that, have your attorney review all of this stuff, you guys. Like, I can't say that this could have been avoided, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that happens, you guys. Accidents happen, things happen, especially because the marijuana use of, the driver of the car and all of that was brought into play in this article here and in this case. But again, as a business, you got to learn from these situations, right? You really do. And what could you have done differently? What can you do differently in your business? Because if you employ drivers, if you have even if you have an employee manual that is out there, have an attorney review it. Invest that money in it, you guys, because you can't have I didn't know I needed that style question. You can't have that answer out there in the event that something like this happens, you guys. And again, I don't know if that would have saved this company at all because, there was some different factors in there. But factors aside, you guys, you need to have something documented. You need to have something. You need to have outside companies review this stuff because I always think that I have it all figured out in business until somebody comes in and says, no, you actually can't do that. This is illegal or that's illegal. So look into this stuff, you guys. You guys got to learn from these articles because these nuclear verdicts that are out there like that, I do not think that that's going to go away. Because if that one was already upheld in the appellate process, I don't know where else that they're going to bring this to. That's a lot of money, and that bankrupts a lot of people. And again, I'm not giving legal advice here, but if you have a driver manual or a safety manual or an employee manual at all, and you have not had an actual attorney review that or a consulting company come in and do that, I would highly recommend doing something like that, right? Because again, you got to protect your business. You got to protect all of that stuff. That article was from freightwaves.com, and it's Missouri court upheld nuclear verdict and it blasts the carrier safety practices. It's a lot of real shit that goes on out there, you guys. And, again, do everything you can in your power to protect your business and protect that investment. And, because unfortunately people die in the real world. And then I know with this specific case, there are other circumstances that kind of played into it. But again, it's, the jury's going to find what the jury's going to find. And, you got to do everything you can to protect your business. So yeah, Jamie, I am early today. My son's got an award ceremony at school today at 8:30, and being present for my son's activities is always going to be a priority of mine over anything else. So yeah, that's why we are. But we're going to be going live tomorrow, back at the normal time, as well as Thursday and Friday. I got guests coming on the next couple of days, you guys, as well. And yeah, we're just going to continue to do what we do. And as always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard today, subscribe to the show. Yeah, Jamie, I would agree, right? That means a lot more in the long run to be there for him. But as always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard today, subscribe to the show, you guys. The audio only replay is going to be up on iTunes and Spotify here shortly after as well, if you want to get caught up on any of the past episodes as well. So yeah, we'll be back, you guys. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.